Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, sandpaper organization for your shop. Well, I don't know about you guys, but in my shop I keep most of my sandpaper all up on a shelf. It's all in its original boxes, that it comes in when you buy a contractor pack. You got to fire through the boxes and then pull out a sheet. It's a real pain in the neck. But on today's show, I'm going to show you how you can make yourself a really cool organizer for this stuff. And it all starts with some 1/2-inch scrap plywood. Well, our project starts out with 2 pieces of 1/2-inch plywood. They measure 11 inches wide and they are 13 inches long. And before we do much of anything here, we need to do a little bit of layout. And the layout on both pieces, for this part anyway, is identical. So the first thing that we need is from the top of our board, we need a line 6 inches down from the top, like that. We will then measure in 2 inches in from each side of the board here, right at the top, on that side and on this side. And then as well from the edge along that line that we drew at 6 inches, we're going to come in and place a mark 4 inches in from each side. And once we get those marks done, we can just join the lines from this mark here at 2 inch down to this one at 4 inch. We'll draw a line and then another one here between these 2 points. And then just to clean things up and make them look a little nicer, we're going to use a circle template and we will round off each one of these corners. So both of these bottom ones here and these top ones here. Okay, and we will do this on both of our pieces of ply. So now we need to mark on both pieces for a couple of holes that we need to drill. And for that, we're going to come down 1 inch from the top. Just place a mark on both of these top wings here. This here will be cut out. So this is scrap, but on these little sections here, 1 inch down. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in from each edge at 13/32 of an inch. Now at each one of those points on both of our boards, we're going to center punch it and drill a through 1/4 inch diameter hole. And now we want to turn it around so that our top is upright here. And we need to do a little bit of marking on the bottom. And all we need to mark for that is a couple of assembly holes. So down here, we'll go 3/8 of an inch up from the bottom and place a line right across. Then we'll come in at, let's say, 1 1/4 inches from either end. And at each one of those points, we're going to countersink for a number 8 screw. So we're going to do the same markings on both boards. Well, at this point, we can take it over to the scroll saw and I'm going to cut out the center area that we marked, and then I'm going to give both pieces a sanding. Well, the last piece of wood that we need for this project is going to be a 3/4 inch piece of scrap plywood, and that is going to be 13 inches long, the same as our uprights, and 5.5 inches wide. So these are all the parts with the exception of one more small thing that's not wood. Well, the last pieces that we need to put this together are a couple pieces of rod, and these are 1/4-inch diameter rod. They're actually old supports from a piece of furniture that I threw away, but I keep these little rods and stuff just in case. You never know when you might need them. And in this case, well, I need them. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little of this Auto Sol polish, and I'm going to see if I can't polish them up to take away some of the tarnishing that they've seen over the years. Now, I don't know if I said it or not, but I cut these rods to be 6.5 inches long. And we'll just give that a little polish there. And okay, yeah, I dig it. That came up great. Check that out. All right, so I'm going to polish the other one and get it nice and shiny, and then we'll move on to the assembly of this organizer. Well, now with all our pieces, it's time to assemble this. And it's a really simple installation, or a simple assembly, I guess we'll say. So take one of these pieces here that you did, and on the inside, take one of your rods on each one of these holes and tap them in place. Now that you've got that done, take the other one, make sure that you're going on the inside, line it up, and tap them in place so that the rods are flush with your wood. Like that, and that. And now our piece of plywood, you can lift this upright, and that will sit in between our 2 1/2-inch pieces. We are going to glue it and screw it in place, and that will pretty much finish off the build, and I'll show you what we're going to do with it from here. Okay, so I went on Amazon and I picked up fairly cheaply a whole bunch of these. And what these are hanging files. And this is essentially what you've built here. You have built a hanging file folder system. So now you can hang all of your sandpaper. Your different grits will be labeled. And the great thing here, let me just put another rack in there because I love the way that fits. That looks great. Okay, so the other thing is these ones here also come with the labels for the hanging files. So because of that now, I will be able to, at each individual spot, have a label for the grit of sandpaper that I'm using. So all I'll have to do is open it up, and right there is my sandpaper. So essentially on today's show, we have created hanging file folders to organize your sandpaper. This is awesome. So now essentially it has gone from this up on my shelf to this. This is epic. All of your sandpaper is all completely organized, the different grits, everything labeled, easy to see, easy to access. Working on a project, you need multiple grits. Don't bring over multiple packages. Bring one neat little file folder and you can get what you need. How about with your 600 wet here, let's say. I know that I have a piece of that here, but right here in the 600 wet, I have a piece that was torn off. And because of the way it was torn, there's no marking on the back. So what grit is it? Well, you know what? Put it in the folder where it belongs, and you'll never have that problem again because you know, according to the labeling, it's 600 wet paper. So, I mean, how can you go wrong, guys? And you know what? For a plywood project and scrap wood, I think it's kind of attractive. I really like it. And there you have it. A sandpaper organizer, or if you want to call it one, a hanging file folder. Guys, this project came about for several reasons. I didn't want a sandpaper organizer because I'm some kind of OCD organizational freak. Okay, well maybe I'm that too, but I really needed it because I have a small shop. And when you have a pile of boxes of sandpaper all lying around, it takes up extra space. And the more you get, the more space it takes up. That cardboard that it's packed in takes up space. And in order to get it a little more organized, to be able to access what I wanted, I needed to come up with something. And I decided that I was going to use a hanging file system, like what I've made here on the show today. So I priced them. These things are like 40 bucks a piece for plastic. I couldn't believe it. I went to one of these office supply places and I checked their prices and I was blown away. 40 bucks. Got to tack tax on top of that. The government got to get their share. So it's actually more than that. It's closer to 50 by the end of it. What did I use here? I used some old steel 1/4-inch rods that I had from a junk piece of furniture. It was a cross brace actually from a shelving unit. The shelving unit is long since been gone, but I saved the bars. You never know, right? Here you go. Here's the proof of you never know, because it worked great with this project. On top of that, I used some scrap 1/2-inch plywood. It's actually left over from other projects that I've done here on the show. So I already paid for it anyway. It was sitting there collecting dust on a shelf. Why not use it for a project? So really, when you look at it, with the scrap plywood being used and the bars or the rods that I already had from salvaging and that sort of thing, what did it cost me? Well, it only cost me the price of the hanging files, which I would have had to buy anyway had I would have bought one of the store-bought versions of this hanging file folder. So really, I'm way ahead of the game here. Takes up so much less space on the shelf, way more organized. I can grab sandpaper at a glance, and it eliminates those orphan pieces of sandpaper that got their designation or their grit cut off when you were quartering it or what have you. So it's a great little project, guys. Honestly, I may even make a second one for out here to hold reference material for my project ideas and that sort of thing. Just a handy thing to have. Guys, you could modify this project. Let's say that you have a home office. Why not make one for your home office? It doesn't have to be 13 inches long or wide in this case. That is for an 8.5 by 11 sheet of sandpaper. What if you want it for your home office or even your office at your office? Why not make it for legal size? Just got to change the measurements up a bit. All the rest is still identical. It's still the same height of project. You just got to lengthen it a little bit and alter the measurements for your bars. If you don't have those steel bars, guys, use dowels. That's just as good. Glue them in place into your pieces of ply and they work just as well. The only reason that I used the metal ones here was because I had them for starters. And I like the way that the files slide along it a lot better. There's no grab. It's a lot smoother operation. So hence the metal bars. That's preferable to me, but if you rock what you got. If you have wooden dowels, use wooden dowels. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click that bell so that you don't miss notifications of future episodes of the show. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this project. It's been a real problem solver for me here today for organizing my sandpaper. I hope that you love it. I hope that you're going to try it for yourself. And honestly, guys, I hope that you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.